Okay, so if you're studying for Computing 2, our recommendation is that if you can, you install Python to run locally on your own computer. And we've got information in Minerva about recommended distributions. However, we do know that for some students this is not going to be an option because either their machine doesn't have the capacity to install Anaconda Python, or alternatively it's something like a Chromebook where it's quite tricky to get that right. So IT have released this virtual Windows desktop solution, which you can also use, which will give you access to Anaconda Python, both Spyder and the Jupyter notebooks. And here I'm going to show you how to get started with it. So this is a brand new service. It'll only been released to students on the very first day of week 1 of semester 1 this year. So things may not always work completely smoothly, but we believe it's going to at least get you started. So you start off on the IT website, so it.leeds.ac.uk, and what you want to search for is Virtual Windows Desktop Client. And sometimes the search works first time, and sometimes I can't type correctly. There we go. And you want the Virtual Windows Desktop Client and Browser Access article. So this one. Okay, so what this is basically doing is it's allowing you to run a copy of Windows in the cloud. So all the Windows programs aren't running on your machine, they're running on some server on the internet, and you're just getting a look in on it remotely. So this replaces the old remote desktop that you'll have had last year. However, there are 4,000 slots on this, so hopefully we won't run out of them during the teaching term. So there are a couple of ways you can use this. You can either install a client on your own computer. It's a very lightweight client, so it shouldn't take a lot of resources. So if you have a supported version of Windows or Apple Mac, you can do that. If you don't, then you still can go and run it in your web browser, and this is what's best if you're running Linux or you're running something like a Chromebook. So at the moment I'm running this on a Linux system, so I'm just going to go and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page till we get to the bit that has the browser access. Okay, so if you are going via the browser access, then you need to use a browser that's supported. I would recommend using either Firefox or Chrome, and Chrome of course is a built-in one on a Chromebook. And it gives you the link here that you need to click on to get started. Okay, so you're going to need to sign in with your university account. In the usual way. Yes, let's stay signed in. And it takes you to this screen. And you'll want the new ones, and you want the academic. So you look for University of Leeds Virtual Windows Desktop. If it gives you an option of new, go for new, and go for academic. And then you can accept the things it asks you there safely. And now what it's doing is it's preparing to connect us to the server that's going to run the machine. So we have to log in. And you see I've still not left my web browser here, so we're now basically running Windows 10 inside a web browser. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it comes up. So it's a bit like just being at a cluster machine. So you have access to your M drive on the system, and the usual resources. Now it's very important, don't save things on the desktop. Always make sure you're saving stuff through to the M drive, and don't save stuff on the local hard disk, because when you log out it will probably have disappeared. So as with the cluster, use your M drive to store anything on, or alternatively you can access your OneDrive by going to a web browser and uploading stuff to your OneDrive, and that's a convenient way of getting information out of the system if you want to copy stuff to and from your own machine. Okay, so by standard it doesn't have very much software installed sort of automatically there, so you have to do one more step in order to get access to Python. And what we're going to go and do is we're going to go and try and access the additional software. So we're going to go to this cloud paging player. And we also need to go and tell it to go and install some software. So we need to open a web browser in our virtual desktop. Actually, no, we can do it even easier than that. I've just seen they've got a link on the desktop. Apps Anywhere portal is what you want. So we go there. Yes, we want to open it. And it's just opening a web browser to the right place. Okay, so this is a system. Yes, okay. You only have to do this once, fortunately. We don't want to do that. We just want the apps anywhere. And this is going to give you a list of applications that we can set up. So it should be quite a lot of applications there, but you can continue to scroll down. Oh, there we go. Anaconda Python 3.7, and you want to click on the launch and say yes. And it is sorting it all out and says it's starting us app. What it's actually doing is it's setting up to run the app on our on this Windows 10 machine that we're running inside a browser. Okay, and what we should find is that it has now installed the things we need. So it's added the Spyder there. So if you just want to fire up Spyder, you can do that. Again, a bit like using the cluster machines the first time. It's going to be a little bit slow the first time, and then it gets a bit better after that. You can see it on our cloud player. We've now got this set up and installing. This means we've got this software running remotely. Okay, and after a bit of a wait, we've managed to get a working version of Spyder up and running. So this is Spyder running in Windows on a server that we're then interacting with via a web browser under Linux. So this is a way you can actually get access to Spyder. Now, in terms of Jupyter Notebooks, let's see if we've managed to get it installed. So I go under Anaconda, and okay, it's not installed the Jupyter Notebook by default, but if I go to, oh no, there it is, Jupyter Notebook, Anaconda 3. So if I run that, okay, and this is it running a Jupyter Notebook, and so I can just do new Python. Whoops, shouldn't have done that. Oh, there we go. Okay. And the great thing with Jupyter is you can always go back and redo things when you make a mistake. Okay, so that's shown you how to get started with both Spyder and the Jupyter notebooks using the virtual desktop client. Now, if you are using a Mac or a Windows machine and you want to use the virtual desktop, you can install the desktop client. That was on the links here. That will be faster than trying to run it through the web browser. The web browser is slower than trying to do the desktop clients. And then the other thing to say, if you're running Windows, then this Apps Anywhere that we were using on the desktop, you can actually use it directly. So if this was a Windows machine, you would be able to go directly and set up to run Apps Anywhere off your own machine. So that is another way of effectively getting access to all this software without having to install it locally. But as I say, if you can install Anaconda locally, then that would always be my recommendation, because it will be the fastest and smoothest experience. Obviously, when you're running it like this, you need to have a reliable broadband that's working, otherwise it will be quite tricky. Okay, so I hope that's a help. As I say, this is a brand new service, which is why I wasn't quite managing to find my way around it smoothly for you. But if you are trying it out and have any questions, then please post questions in the forum on the Minerva module, and I will do my best to help you. Alternatively, of course, contact the IT service desk as well.